Fry, and Steve will share his story with you because it's a very recent story, and so therefore it has a lot of relevance in some of the lessons that Steve has learnt along the way.
Hi, as Susie said, my name's Steve. At the end of October last year, I was diagnosed with acute renal failure. Unfortunately, due to some bad circumstances, I wasn't aware that I was in chronic kidney disease beforehand. So when it was caught, I had 5% kidney function. I went into hospital immediately to have emergency surgery, to have a line put in my chest so that I could receive haemodialysis. Dialysis, as the lady over there, I didn't catch her name, sorry. As Sonia said, it's a bit of a barrier at first. You have to sit in a chair for 4 hours a week, sorry, for 4 hours a day, 3 times a week, and the whole experience takes generally between 5.5 and 6 hours, depending on whether or not the unit are running slowly. So it is a very difficult tie. It takes up a lot of time and kind of removes a lot of your social life. But if you keep a positive attitude, it's amazing how quickly you can adjust to it and work your life around it. And the staff in the unit are extremely helpful and friendly, and the doctors are the serious ones who don't pull their punches and tell you exactly how things are going to happen and what to expect in the future. Now, my experience has been a very brief one. I was very lucky that a good friend of mine volunteered immediately to give me a kidney, and his tests happened quickly at the hospital because he lives in Sweden. So he flew over and had all his testing done in 2 days. And it was, for him as a donor, he was given a lot of warnings about the risks that could be involved in transplantation, and they are very honest about things that could happen. So they talked to him about his weight and the level of exercise that he has and what he should do to prepare for the transplantation. For myself, I went through the same tests, mostly exercise tolerance and lots of blood and tissue tests to make sure we were compatible. It turned out we weren't very compatible, but with the advances that Ozzy was talking about, they managed to make it work. So in May this year, we went to Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, where I received his kidney. Now, we were given a lot of talk on what to expect for the transplant itself and what would happen afterwards. So we were very well informed the whole way. And one of the main things is try not to be in shock when you wake up because of the number of tubes you've got sticking out of you, which was a bit of a shock. But one of the main things I'd like to say is that before the diagnosis, I was very ill, and I didn't know why. I put it down to mostly the exhaustion of having a new baby. So I kind of ignored a lot of the symptoms that wouldn't add up to anything else. But following the transplant, I felt different as soon as I woke up. The new kidney that I was given, it passed over 30 litres of urine in the first day and just threw out all the bad things that were in my body. And I immediately perked up. Even on all the drugs I was on, I was still able to kind of think the way that I did before chronic kidney disease. Because it has a profound mental effect on you, chronic kidney disease. It really affects how you think and feel and how you interact with others. So actually getting the diagnosis made a lot of sense in hindsight as to how I'd been the years leading up to it. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about is the awareness of Alport. So I was diagnosed when I was a toddler, and I was the first in my family to actually be diagnosed with the disease. My grandfather died of kidney failure, but no one knew why. At the time, it was diagnosed as Bright's disease after the fact. But when I was very young, I saw a number of geneticists and specialists who knew nothing of Alport's disease. And much like Sue was saying, depending on where you go is the amount of information you'll get, and everybody says something different. Growing up, I was told initially, when I was very little, that I might not live very long. That's what my parents were told, that I probably wouldn't get past the age of 3 or 4. Which was obviously very shocking for them. But as I got older, that changed. I was told that by a number of specialists that if I got past a certain age, 19 or 20, then I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. And that I just wouldn't need to worry about contracting kidney failure. So after my teens, London Hospital recommended that I see my GP because I moved out of London to get my blood tests. And so I did that once a year. I saw my GP, and I just assumed everything was fine because they never called me about results. And finding out that I had acute renal failure led me to speak to the doctors because I'd had 2 blood tests in the years leading up to it. And in getting my medical records, both blood tests showed that I was in stage 4 renal failure, chronic kidney disease. So I had 20% kidney function in the first and 16 or 15% in the second. So awareness is something I would really like to put across to people. I know with the younger people that have been diagnosed, they'll be seen by renal specialists who are a lot more educated now. My cousin's child, he's just a toddler himself, but he's with Guy's and Tom's, and they're very well informed on what to expect and how the process should go. But I never had that opportunity, so I'd like to appeal to any older people that are expecting perhaps to have renal failure in the future, to just, if you're not with a specialist in a hospital, to double check your results with the GP. And just, you know, if I'd researched the symptoms of kidney disease myself, I would have probably been able to diagnose myself a lot sooner, because when I checked the website for the NHS for kidney failure, there were 10 symptoms listed and I had 8 of them. So if I'd have known sooner, then I would have been able to at least get help sooner. It's only because I saw Frances Flinter about my daughter that for the first time, I was told that it's inevitable that my kidneys will fail. And that led me to get my blood tested the next day, which was when I was told that I had 5% kidney function. So I think I have Frances Flinter to thank for possibly being alive today, as much as anything else. But as I said, it's 5 months ago, May this year that I had my transplant. I felt better immediately, but I'm 7 months in this time next week, and I'm back at work. I have been for a few months now, back in the office, just doing my normal life, enjoying my time with my daughter. So the benefits of transplantation are just profound, and I can't really put into words how much better my quality of life is now. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.